Welcome to the Militia Gaming community. I'm Trigger, and I've played 30 hours of Unbound, so let's talk about the good and the bad. Let's go! Alright, before I get into the video, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I know there's a lot of Unbound content on the internet right now, and I'm really glad you're here watching this video, so thank you so much. I've also got a lot more Unbound content coming your way, as I plan on covering the game in depth. Alright, let's talk about the good first. And the first thing that comes to mind when playing this game is that it was built on the foundation of Need for Speed Heat. There are fingerprints of Need for Speed Heat everywhere in the game, from the UI to the engines to the part upgrades and even the driving. And I'll actually explain the driving part later for those of you who have played the game and immediately disagree. I'll be doing another video on the handling and how to drive in the game, so keep an eye out for that one. But I love it. I think it feels so similar, but it's not Need for Speed Heat 2. I was worried that it would be too similar, and now I can officially put those worries to bed. It feels familiar enough to feel like you're not playing a completely different racing series, but it's different enough to feel like it deserves its own game. Also, the story was well written and the character development was good. Even better though was the voice acting. While watching the cutscenes or listening to the chatter over the radio when I was driving to the next race, I could feel the emotion in their voices. I was pleasantly surprised by how the characters interacted with each other, particularly you, the player, and Rydell. The writing between these two was silly but not cheesy, and when it was a little bit cheesy, your character was self-deprecating and sort of made fun of how cheesy something was. I felt like the writers made the characters very realistic and self-aware, which made it fun to listen to. Visual and audio effects actually enhance the gameplay. Watching a gameplay trailer or a streamer play the game really doesn't do this art style justice. I know that the internet is split on this, and then there's going to be a lot of people that are upset about me putting this in the good column, but take it from an honest creator like myself who has 30 hours played, the driving effects change the way you feel when you're flying down the road. When you hit the NOS button and it feels like the screen explodes, you feel like you're in the car and you've just pressed the little red button. It's hard to explain, but it truly enhances the gameplay. It makes everything from running from Heat 5 cops to racing to just driving around in the open world more intense. I'm not trying to convince people who don't like it that they're wrong. It's obviously very subjective and you can feel however you want, but if you're open-minded about it, I have a feeling you will enjoy the way these effects enhance this experience. The skill gap is bigger, but there is space for casual players. The racing mechanics are more complicated than Heat. They added things like perfect launch, grip tuning, and burst nitrous, which give a skilled driver more tools to race fast, and trust me, the guys that are fast are absolutely insane. Less skilled players are more likely to have a hard time mastering all of those mechanics, but the game was designed in a way that, for example, even if you don't know how to use your burst nitrous properly, it's extremely gratifying to press that button and watch your car jolt ahead. Also, cop chases seem more appropriate for the heat level that you have. Low heat chases are fairly easy to escape, while high heat chases are much more intense. Each type of cop has a different set of mechanics, so when you're in a Heat 5 chase, you'll have multiple different units on you, and escaping will require a few different tactics. Helicopters spawn in more frequently, but they also have a gas mechanic. When they are low on gas, aka they've been on you for a while, they fly away and you have a short time to escape before the next helicopter spawns in. I really like that Criterion focused on improving the chase mechanics, and the biggest difference is that the game's difficulty setting doesn't only affect the AI racers anymore, it actually affects the difficulty of the cops as well. I will say that on medium difficulty, the cops seem a bit easier in general compared to Heat. I believe that's because you don't increase your heat level when you're running from the cops. You only increase your heat level by completing events. So, accidentally ending up in a Heat 5 chase with a low level car is really not possible. If you're in a high heat chase, it was your choice because you know exactly how much heat you're going to get for each race, and you know exactly how much heat you have, and there's no other way to earn heat so it's completely your fault if you end up in a high heat chase with a low level car. If you're looking for more of a challenge, the higher difficulty settings actually increase the difficulty of the high heat levels. Online multiplayer and the solo campaign are separated. There are pros and cons to this, but since we're in the good section of the video, let's talk about the pros. The biggest one is that if you go into an online lobby hoping to race another player, you will 100% be able to do that without any problems. People in online lobbies are accepting race invites. This was a problem in Heat. The reason is because of the decision to split the multiplayer and the solo experiences, including the money and the car unlocks. Players are now in online for one specific reason, and that's to race against other players. There's literally no other reason to be there, so people are definitely accepting race invites. The other pro to this is that for players who enjoy the game, this will help to extend the life of it. There are specific challenges that you need to complete in online lobbies in order to unlock all of the cars there. It's like a whole nother set of objectives in addition to the campaign. This next one is a big one. Clipping has been fixed. This was a huge issue in Need for Speed Heat. You could just be driving down the road and all of a sudden the front end of your car would pop up into the air, or you would just go flipping around. This was due to the map being made poorly and your car would actually clip on the ground. I have yet to clip in Unbound. It's a very nice and smooth experience, although there are some spots on certain races where the road design will make your car bounce a bit, but it's the design of the road, not the lack of clean development. It's meant to be bumpy like that. And lastly, they just listen to our feedback. I'm just gonna list all of the things I recognized as feedback that they listened to. Number 1, the RSR is no longer broken and OP. Number 2, the store is actually sortable by manufacturer, car tier, or the car model name, and you can actually scroll faster in that menu. Number 3, no more clipping. Number 4, longer campaign. 5, players are now incentivized to accept race invites online. 6, there are more cars. 7, there are more side quest events to do. Number 8, they've added depth to the car meta by adding vehicle classes. Number 9, online multiplayer has a player progression system with associated challenges and rewards. Number 10, the map is bigger. Number 11, they added pedestrians. Number 12, each heat level has its own chase mechanics. Number 13, added more vehicle customization. Number 14, online race invites can be accepted no matter where you are, including inside your garage, tuning your car. And number 15, traffic cars do not stop in the middle of the intersection. I'm sure there's more, but these were all complaints from the Need for Speed player base that were addressed. There's a lot of good things about Need for Speed Unbound, but we do have to get to some of the bad things, so here we go. The first one, the online party size is only 4. It's just too small, especially because in the last game we were able to have 8. It really makes no sense because each server hosts up to 16 people and each race hosts up to 8 people. And the amount of money you earn in online lobbies is tied to the number of people in the race, which leads me to the next point. Making money in online is absolutely too slow. At the time of this video, there are only 3 ways you can make money while online: racing, collectibles, and your player level challenges. The player level challenges are just for racing and gaining experience, and you can gain a bulk sum of money every time you reach certain thresholds of your player level. Collectibles don't pay that much. They're only like $200 or $250 per collectible, so there's just not a lot there, and they take a long time to go find them all. And racing will only net you about $6,000 to $8,000 per race. It really just depends on the number of players in that race, which is not in your control. Also, to get that amount, you need to perform well in those races, which means you either need to be getting first or second in the full playlist. Each race is approximately 3 minutes long, so you make about $100,000 per hour if you are winning the majority of your playlists. And speaking of playlists, race playlists are a neat idea, but would be way better if you could just start a single race. You cannot start a specific race that you're looking for. You have to start a playlist which has 3 races on it with the race that you're looking for. And the rewards are tied to the finishing position for the entire playlist. If you don't finish the playlist, you don't get any rewards. it makes it so that you can't restart a specific race to try and practice that race and improve your skills only on that race. It's frustrating because you can't just earn money the way that you want to earn money, you have to earn it through these playlists. Also, engine parts are now exclusive to the engine you bought them for, and engines are now exclusive to the car you bought them for, and engines and parts can't be sold. This makes it so that you have to spend a lot more money to build and or test out different builds for a specific car, and since the money is scarce, this is a particularly painful change for builders like myself, and I think it will lead to a lot more glitching and a lot more cheating in the long run. People will not want to spend the time it takes to earn money for the cars and engines and parts. I really hope that they adjust the amount of money you get for each of the races in multiplayer. It is way too low for how much things cost. Races in single player are exclusive to the day of the week that they occur on, and they cannot be repeated until the following in-game week. If you don't know how the day-night cycle works, it's basically every time you return to the garage, the game progresses you through time to the next cycle. So if you're on Monday during the day and you go back to the garage, the next time you leave the garage, you will be Monday at night, and then Tuesday during the day, then Tuesday at night, etc., till you get through the whole week. This mechanic is fine, but race events are tied to the cycle and the day that they occur on. Monday day events are not playable if you're currently on any other cycle besides Monday during the day. Let's say you want to replay a specific event because that payout is very good. Well, you can't until you finish that entire week of cycles and get back around to the day and the cycle on which that race occurs. This is truly one of the worst mechanics / designs in the entire game, and maybe one of the worst mechanics I've seen in a racing game. It makes it so that earning cash the way you want is absolutely impossible. And lastly, it feels like there are fewer events in both single player and multiplayer. I haven't sat down and counted out all of the events, but the events are stacked inside what's called a meetup. You start a group of races from the same location on the map, so all you see on the map is 7 meetup locations who house maybe 5 or so events. It just doesn't feel like there are many options to choose from when it comes to racing, which is actually a bad thing for a racing game. As I play the game more, I'm sure I will get deeper into the ins and outs of the game, and I'll probably have more to say, but I'd like to cut this video off here because it's already a long video, and it was actually meant to be sort of a shorter first impressions type video. So that's it for this one. You guys are more than welcome to send me a DM if you have any comments or questions about the game, and I will happily answer them. But please do me a favor and leave a comment with your first impressions and what you would like to see change for this game. I'm very curious what the community thinks on this one. Alright, shout out to all the Heat 5 members. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.